Hello and welcome. Today on the sofa we have Dan, who is running for Activities Officer. Please introduce yourself and tell us why you're running for this position.
I'm Dan.
Yep.
I'm co-founder and the current president of the Environmental Action Society. And the reason I'm running for the position is I've been looking at internships for the summer, and I've realised that the kind of changes and ideas that I wanted to see implemented, I would have much more effects to be a full-time sabbatical officer. So it was only very recently I decided to run, and I chose the Activities Officer position because throughout my entire degree, you come to university for your education to get a degree, but I've had so much fun doing all the extracurricular things, all the other activities. I've had a lot of experience with taking part in societies. I've set up a society, I've helped with another set of a society, been on committee, I've passed things to union council, and I think all these have been really good experiences that I would like to help facilitate other students to do in the future and improve the processes for them.
Okay, so what's been your key motivation? I mean, you mentioned you've been previously involved, but has there been a specific thing that's really motivated you to go for this position?
Well, I think most people know me as the environmental kind of guy, so it was the Environmental Action Society that I run, and so being passionate about nature and the environment has been my key motivation. And I think the turning point when I decided to run for the position was putting a change would explain it through Union Council. So that was for the Leicester Divest campaign. We were looking at the way the university invested tuition fee monies in unethical companies, and when I realised that students do have the power to actually make quite big changes and challenge the university on serious policies, then I realised that I would be able to go forward and take that as a full-time officer and make even bigger changes. So
Okay, so talking of changes, if you were to be elected, what would be your number one priority change that you would make?
well, I know there are kind of buzzwords that are thrown around a lot, but transparency at the minute, I don't think a lot of students I've spoke to don't really know what their full-time officers are doing. These are people that are representing the students at the university, and they might be doing great stuff, but it's no good if the students they're representing don't know what they're doing. So the first thing I'm proposing is a very simple change to make, and it's just to have a kind of policies traffic light page on the student union website. So this would also increase accountability. So the manifesto points that people that are voted in can make will all be listed on the website, and then anybody can visit the website, have a look at the policies, the projects that are currently being run, and they can leave a comment, a feedback comment, so you get ongoing feedback from students as to what it is. And I think that will help the whole process, because students will actually be able to see what their officers are doing for them.
Right, so in terms of getting students involved with the activities, it's vital that students are actually aware of what activities are going on around them in campus and off campus. What do you think about an idea of an app the university could have to showcase activities going around?
I think an app would be a brilliant idea. I mean, this year the university's changed its logo so that it can move towards a mobile app form. So this is a shift that's already changing with the university. They're accepting that students are using smartphones more, and everybody uses their smartphones a lot. But if the app is done, it has to be done properly, like very, very well, because I don't know if you've seen the Blackboard app or the University of
I've
Leicester
heard about
app.
it, but I haven't actually been on it, no.
Don't bother.
Right.
I downloaded them in my first year, and it's a gimmick to say, yes, we've got this app, we're appealing to mobile students, but nobody uses it. They're not very usable. So I think
how would you make, if say this app was to go forward, how would you make things different? What would you include that the other apps haven't?
Well, to be honest, it doesn't look very well done. So it would have to be really professionally done. If you're going to do it properly. So it's got to make sure you've got the right experience and media company behind it. You're going to have to spend the money on it and make sure it's worth doing. But I'd like to see kind of similar things that are already on the website, but in shorter forms so that people can click on it. I'd also like to see, if there was such an app, to have like a timetable that all student groups feed in their activities that are going to be run, so people can have a look at the timetable and see what events are being run, where they're being run, how they could go on to get involved with that if they're interested in it.
Okay, so postgraduates, there's a lot of them in the University of Leicester, and sometimes it's like they're not as involved as undergraduates are in terms of activities. Yeah. How would you go about changing this perception and getting postgraduates involved with activities as well?
Well, at the minute, a lot of our postgraduate students study over at the Brookfield site, and so we're quite fortunate in that our university is very much a central campus-based one. I mean, we've got a few things over at Salisbury Road, but most students are on campus, and so most events tend to take place on campus. So in order to engage postgraduate students, I think we should be going to the postgraduate students. There shouldn't be an expectation that they walk across Victoria Park to try and find something to involve themselves in.
Yeah.
If they would like events and activities happening, we should take the events and activities to them. So I think we should involve the Brookfield site more with our university life, so we could take events and activities, and also just go over and visit the Brookfield site, just wander around, have a chat to people, and start having more engagement over on the Brookfield site. I think that'd be a good way to engage postgraduate students more.
Okay, so things like societies, they get involved in a lot of activities and stuff. What would your thoughts be on, having, weekly competitions between different societies, in not really in a really competitive way, but more as a way of, interrelating different societies so people can, get to know each other and, just be a bit more friendly?
That sounds a great idea. It's kind of, I hadn't thought of it as a competition, but I was looking at in holding more support and training societies, and in that I wanted to have more inter-society engagement. So having really societies from completely different backgrounds come together and maybe see what joint events they could run. And I don't see why those joint events couldn't be a bit competitive, because everyone loves a bit of competition.
Exactly.
Perhaps that should be something I should integrate into the policy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Volunteers, they're like an integral part to any activities, events, competitions, etc. How would you plan on encouraging more people to come in and volunteer for activities?
Well, I've done a lot of volunteering in the past 2 years for the environment team, for the Environment Cycling Society, and I've been this year organising volunteering, and last year as well, for my society. And this volunteering can be used for the Leicester Award, and it goes towards your HERE report. But I don't think these things are advertised very well. They're being more advertised, and it's improved this year on last year, but it's still quite a confusing process. You have to submit your volunteering hours to the Careers Development Service, and you also have to fill out a separate form in order to get your HEAR, your HERE transcript, and then we ask for a separate thing so that we can record it for the society. So it kind of all gets a bit muddled, and people don't know when they volunteer what they're getting out of volunteering. So I think that process needs to be simplified, and it needs to be better explained, because a lot of staff even have been unsure of what hours are being used for where. So they're all really brilliant ideas, and there's already a lot of things in place to allow students to really get good things out of their volunteering. But I think they need to be simplified.
Yeah, okay. So touching back on, inter-society relationships, apart from, competitions and what have you, what other things could you do to, create this inter-society relationships?
I would like to see more debates on campus, and this would be really something that societies could take forward. They could put forward different speakers. I haven't really heard in my whole time here of many debates going on. They don't have to be really serious life and death academic debates.
Is that like creating a new society, maybe a debating society?
I think a debating society would be fantastic, and if there was a debating society, that they could perhaps kind of allow these other societies to come together and go to these debates. But setting up a society is I've got loads of ideas for societies, but I don't have time for everything. But I think a debating society is really cool. But if not, I don't see any reason why in these inter-society events that they're planning, like a debate, for example, couldn't be one of them. I think that would be a really good thing to have.
Okay, so before we end off this interview, we're going to play a quick game. It's a word association game. So
Okay.
I'm going to fire out some words for you, and
Alright.
the first word that comes into your head, just shout it out. Okay?
Okay.
So here's the first word. Union.
Diner.
Activities.
Officer.
Students.
Union.
Inspiration.
David Attenborough.
Dan.
Schofield.
Lust.
Students.
Goal.
Winning.
Change.
Explain it.
Leicester.
Award.
Thank you so much, Dan. Good luck for the elections.
Oh, that was
Cheers,
a pleasure.
mate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.